I was 18 when my parents told me to pack my things. No warning, no tearful goodbye, just a cold, sharp, "You've had your time, Anna. Your sister needs the space for her big night." My room, the one I painted myself, the one with the cracked windows and floor I fixed when Dad wouldn't, was apparently the perfect setting for her prom photo shoot. They didn't say it kindly either. Mom was pacing with swatches of silver and gold fabric in her hand, muttering about fairy lights and photo aesthetics, while Dad scrolled through Pinterest on his phone like this was an emergency renovation show. My younger sister Brielle twirled in a glittery dress, laughing about how my cluttered old room would finally be useful. I stood there, suitcase in hand, trying to swallow the truth. They weren't joking. They were really kicking me out. For prom. I asked where I was supposed to go. Mom's eyes didn't even lift from the velvet curtains. "You're 18, she said flatly. "Figure it out. People your age already have their own place." I was barely 2 weeks out of high school, hadn't even walked the stage at graduation yet. I had no job, no car, no backup plan, just a backpack full of sketchbooks and a dream of one day being an interior designer, not that they ever cared. They gave me $40 cash for a cab and closed the door behind me like I was just a delivery they were done signing for. I ended up crashing on the couch of my friend Morgan's family for a few nights. They fed me, offered a roof, and treated me better than my own blood ever did. But I knew I couldn't stay long. I started working night shifts at a diner, sleeping between shifts in a shared basement apartment that barely had heating. My days blurred into a cycle of survival and silence. I didn't answer their texts, not that there were many. Just the occasional, "Hope you're okay," followed by new photos of Brielle's prom setup, my old bedroom walls covered in silk drapes, twinkling lights, a red carpet, and even a full-length mirror I had saved up for months to buy. She was posing beside it like a celebrity. No mention of me, no credit, nothing. The betrayal hurt, but something else ignited too, a stubborn flame that whispered, "They don't get to define your worth." I took the pain and poured it into my designs. I worked during the day, studied online at night, and pitched mock-ups to real estate agents until one finally gave me a chance. That one apartment turned into 3. Then a cafe, then a boutique hotel. My name started circulating in design blogs. Anna Ray Interiors, known for transforming tiny spaces into dream homes with emotion and purpose. I even got interviewed once. When asked what inspired me, I smiled and said, "The memory of a room taken from me." They still didn't call, didn't congratulate me, but I heard through mutual contacts that things weren't as shiny back home. Dad's contract work had dried up. Mom's side hustle folded. Brielle had dropped out of college after 2 semesters. And the house? The one they kicked me out of? It had started falling apart, but I was rising, quietly, unstoppably, and I wasn't done yet. It's strange how pain, when held gently, can grow into purpose. After being kicked out, I made a promise to myself in that cold basement apartment. I would build a life they couldn't ignore, but I'd do it without begging for their validation. My first design client was a retired teacher named Mrs. Langford who saw my sketches while I was waitressing. She asked if I'd help rearrange her studio apartment, and I stayed up all night drawing mood boards and 3D renderings by hand because I couldn't afford the software yet. When she saw the final result, a sunlit, floral-themed space with hidden storage and vintage charm, she cried. She paid me double and referred me to 5 of her friends. That's how it started. I spent 2 years working like a ghost, quiet, unnoticed, but everywhere. I built my portfolio one room at a time, walking through spaces that needed love and pouring myself into every project. I studied for certifications, learned how to run a business, even taught myself marketing. Soon, my inbox was full of client requests, and my small Instagram account had grown into a design page with thousands of followers. Anna Ray Interiors became known for elegant transformations with meaning, and I became known for never posting pictures of myself. It wasn't just about proving something anymore. It was about reclaiming everything I had been told I didn't deserve: beauty, space, success, and dignity. Then came the opportunity that changed everything. An upscale real estate developer was renovating a historic neighborhood and looking for a local designer to reimagine 5 homes on the block. I was one of the youngest applicants, but my portfolio, now stacked with cozy apartments, chic restaurants, and full renovations, spoke for itself. They gave me the job. The moment I got the address of the first property, my heart stopped. It was my childhood street. Not just the street, the house next door to the one I was kicked out of, the one where Mom once told me, "You're too emotional to succeed in anything creative," the one where Dad laughed when I said I wanted to design homes, the one where my sister held her glittery prom photo shoot while I sat on a borrowed couch wondering if I mattered. The irony was so thick it almost made me laugh. I spent weeks working quietly on the renovations, watching from a distance as my old home fell into disrepair. The paint was chipping. The lawn, once meticulously kept for appearances, had gone wild. Their cars were old now. The sparkle was gone. I learned from neighbors that Dad had lost work, and Mom was trying to run a failing online boutique. Brielle had moved back home, unemployed, and now they were trying to sell the house, but no one was biting. I wasn't proud of the satisfaction that stirred in my chest, but it was real. One evening, while checking lighting fixtures on the renovated home next door, I ran into my old neighbor, Mrs. Callahan. She blinked when she saw me. "Anna Ray, is that really you?" I smiled and nodded. She told me how proud she was, how she had followed my work online. Then she leaned closer and said, "Your parents said you ran off because you couldn't handle responsibility." But I always knew that wasn't the full story. Something inside me cracked open. I had kept quiet all these years, but I realized silence was no longer strength. It was a gift they didn't deserve anymore. So I started making calls, subtle ones. I contacted the agency listing my parents' house. Then I reached out to a private investor who admired my work and had expressed interest in expanding my brand into a line of boutique design hotels. I pitched him an idea. Buy out my childhood home. Let me turn it into a studio showroom for my design brand, a place where emotion met elegance, where I could share my journey. He agreed on one condition. I'd lead the remodel completely. 3 weeks later, while my parents were still wondering why their house wasn't selling, a black car pulled into their driveway. A woman stepped out. It was me. I walked up to the front door. The same door I had once been pushed through with a $40 bill and no place to go, and knocked. Mom opened it. Her mouth fell open. "Anna!" Dad appeared behind her, blinking. Brielle, from the couch, actually dropped her phone. "I just wanted to let you know," I said calmly. "You might want to start packing. The buyer closes next week. The home inspection passed yesterday." They didn't understand. So I pulled out the contract, their address, the buyer's name, my company's name. "Wait," Dad sputtered. "You bought the house?" "No," I said. "I bought back my story. This house was never a home to me, but now it will be something better." I turned to leave, and as I walked away, I heard Mom whisper, "She really made it." The silence I'd given them for years was over. Now they could hear my success loud and clear. And I hadn't even started yet. The studio launch was set for spring. I didn't advertise the address. I didn't post a dramatic reveal online. I let the story unfold the way all the best revenge does. Quietly, beautifully, and without explanation. When the contractors finished remodeling my childhood home, it didn't even look like the same place. The tacky prom banners, the judgmental furniture, the cold pastel walls, gone. In their place was warmth, clean white oak floors, soft lighting that wrapped each room in calm, a tea bar by the window seat where I'd once been told I didn't belong. The entire space was transformed into a design showroom, an emotional gallery. Every corner told a story, not of pain, but of perseverance. My story. I named it Second Draft, because that's what life is, really. Not what you're given, but what you create after you've been erased. On opening day, I hosted a small event, by invitation only. Industry professionals, loyal clients, a few local press outlets, nothing flashy. But I knew the town would whisper, and I knew the whispers would eventually reach them. I didn't expect them to come, but they did. Halfway through the evening, I looked up from a conversation with a design editor and saw my parents hesitating just beyond the front steps, looking like strangers outside their old home. My mother had aged, her hair stiff with the same spray she used to call camera ready. My father was thinner, tired. Brielle stood behind them in a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big and an expression that flickered between guilt and disbelief. They had received one of the mass-mailed flyers I sent anonymously across town. I wanted them to see what I had done, but not through a confrontation, through contrast. I walked out to greet them, calm and poised. My mom tried to speak first. "We didn't know this was—" "It's okay," I said gently. "You don't have to explain." They glanced around, taking in the home they'd abandoned for party decorations and puppy-themed prom banners. Brielle stared at the brass plate beside the door. Anna Ray Interiors. Second draft. "This is—" She paused. "Really beautiful." "It's more than beautiful," I said, voice steady. "It's healing." We stood in silence for a moment, and then, almost hesitantly, my father asked, "Would it be okay if we looked around?" I shook my head. "Not tonight," I replied. "Tonight's for the people who saw my worth before I had to prove it." Their faces fell. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't need them to cry. I needed them to understand. And they did. As they turned to leave, I handed them a small envelope. Inside was a photograph. Not of me, but of the wall where the family photo once hung, the one I was left out of. In its place now stood a quote, carved into reclaimed wood. "The ones you leave out often build homes you're never invited into again." They read it, and I watched their shoulders fold. And in that moment, I felt everything shift. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hungry for revenge. I was free. They walked away in silence. Back inside, I raised my glass with my team and friends, smiled through the applause, and looked around at the space that had once been filled with rejection. Now, it was filled with people who saw me, loved me, respected me. And as music played softly and laughter rose around me, I finally took a deep breath. Not because I had won, but because I had rewritten the ending. And this time, I was in the picture.